this lab near San Francisco, a quiet revolution is taking shape in diagnostic testing for animal disease. The research done here could radically change how blood, tissue, and other biological specimens are collected, transported, stored, and recovered. The lab is working with a method called dry storage, a process that extracts water from a specimen. The result is the matrix chaperone, a technology that preserves a biological specimen without the need for ice packs or refrigerators. We spoke to Dr. Michael Hogan, a principal investigator with the FAZD Center, about the matrix chaperone.
About a year ago, we made the decision that it was time to move from just enabling technologies to store and retrieve large biobanks of material, but move out into the field. Really think about a next generation of products that would not be so much for the purposes of biobanking, that is to store leftover residue material for long-term sharing and use, but really to get out into the field to capture specimens in the pen, in the field, in a diagnostic clinic, so that these specimens could be transported large distances, kept intact, and then analyzed.
IntegenX took a novel approach. Rather than creating a new technology from scratch, the company chose to control costs by retrofitting technology that already exists.
It's easy to come up with the engineering drawings, but when you put a pencil to it, you find out it'll cost $250,000 to implement it. So what we decided to do is to ask the question, can we simply buy already made plastic tubes that are almost what we want, which we can get for 15 cents, and retrofit them so that in fact we can mount things onto them inexpensively, which allows them to hold matrix, and find simple ways to put desiccant into the tubes. And the answer was, we didn't have to work very hard to find out that, yeah, you can. And so the actual matrix chaperones that we're making for the FAZD project with Department of Homeland Security funding start out life, the ones that are swab-like start out life being an absolutely ordinary Corning 15 mil orange cap, screw cap tube, which everybody in every molecular biology or virology lab in the world knows exactly what that is.
In general use, the matrix chaperone works like any other technology for collecting specimens. You take the sample and then drop it into the tube. The difference is in how the specimens are preserved. Rather than using an ice pack or a refrigerator to keep the specimens cool, the matrix chaperone uses a desiccant to remove the water from the specimen and to preserve it in a dehydrated state.
The general use of it is very similar to the way swabs are done now, at least to start out with. So one would take one of these swabs and either swab, oral cavity, cloaca, or if it's an animal and you've just presented a droplet of blood, perhaps swab a droplet of blood that's been presented on the surface. And you would literally put it in your pocket or drop it into just a regular box to accumulate specimens from the course of the day, and at the end of the day you would either put that in a backpack or stick it into a letter pouch and just mail it by ordinary post. If the material were non-infectious, or if it were infectious, you could put it in a box, place it in a car, and drive it to where you would analyze it. When a matrix chaperone swab would arrive, since the specimen is not in an alcohol solution or something of that nature, the first step would simply be to rehydrate it by just adding water back. Then the next step is to simply spin it. So again, using the same tube, put it in an ordinary desktop centrifuge, spin it for 30 seconds, let G-force, a low-speed spin, 500 Gs or 1,000 Gs, is a great deal of centrifugal force in terms of compressing a sponge. And you can wring out the last bit of water pretty much instantaneously that way, and you're left with your sample in the rehydration buffer, water-containing rehydration buffer, and ready to be used for whatever one would ordinarily use. And at that point, the workflow becomes exactly the same as what would have been done had you received a freshly collected sample.
The Matrix Chaperone is just one of several agricultural screening tools under development at the FAZD Center. To learn more, visit our website.